There's two runways. There's the grass, which is just the next one there, but we'll take the tarmac, which is Earl's Cone's like a taxiway in width. Honestly, look at it. This is how wide it really is. It's like a cycle lane. I had to do my night rating on this runway. I had to land on this in the dark with no landing lights. Let me tell you, that was fun. Right, so in a Cessna, we'll rotate at 55, climb out at about 78. I'm hoping, is my trim wheel working? Yes, it is. Good. You never fully trust anyone but yourself. Let me tell you, when you're flying, that's true. Alright. So the airspeed's here. When it gets to about 55, we start just pulling back on the stick a little bit. Want to be climbing out 78, but 80 will do. So no flaps to worry about. Oh, this rudder's a little bit feisty. Right, airspeed's building, so we don't need to abort at this point. There's 50, there's 55. Pull it back. Get the nose down just to get the airspeed up a little bit. There's 80. Watch the T's and P's. And come back and just maintain the heading. One thing I haven't done, by the way, which is naughty of me, is set my heading indicator. Because it wasn't on my checklist, because I don't have one on my plane. So now our heading's completely wrong. So it's warning me about London TMA. I'll do for now. Right. So we're at 1,000 feet already. It's nagging me because the problem is we're not that far away from Stansted. So it's actually warning that we're going to hit Stansted's controlled airspace if we're not careful. Let's level it out there and keep climbing. Take off the taxi lights and nav lights and put that back on. Hang on, chat's about the mag, one sec. I'm a bit busy right now. It's a little bit naggy, isn't it? Reminds me of my Garmin GPS in my car. Right, so you're coming up on 2,000 feet. So you just push the nose down. Like that. Let the airspeed build. Then as the airspeed builds, the RPM will build up. And as the RPM builds, just back off on the floor a little bit. Get it up to cruise. Right, well what the beeping is, it's warning us about airspace. Because the one thing you don't want to do is fly into controlled airspace without permission. Because that way you can get your knuckles wrapped or even have your license taken off you by the CAA if you do that. So anyway, at this point now we would have... Oh, nice. Okay, explain, thanks for that. It's supposed to be scattered at 3,200, but apparently it's not. So we'll have to keep it down so we can stay visual. We'll get rid of Earl's Cone and we'll start talking to Southend at this point. Because we need to get permission to fly into their airspace. Now this is Whittam directly ahead. Whittam's quite easy to spot because it has quite a big industrial bit here and a big road going right past it, the A12 right there. So it's relatively easy to spot. The high street goes down that way. So you know you're at Whittam quite easily. Which is what makes it a good visual reference. So yeah, at this point you switch over to Southend. and you'll say something like, whatever we are, Golf Echo Charlie Alpha Kilo, basic service, and zone transit to the south, is what you would say. They'll come back to you, they'll give you a squawk code, tell you to pass your message, at which point you'll say to them, you know, you're a Cessna 172, you're going from Earlscound to Lyd, VFR, you're currently routing Whittam, altitude 1,800 feet on 1019, request basic service and a zone transit to the south, and they'll say to you, remain outside of control airspace, squawk, blah 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 blah, which is what you do. And at this point, there's not a lot else to do until they talk to you again. However, you have to be very careful that you don't fly into their control airspace, because right now they have not told you that you're free to enter control airspace. Yeah, you've not been told this. So you've got two choices. You either circle over at Whittam here, that's the A12 down there, you see it? You either circle round at Whittam and wait, or you start heading towards it, which is what I tend to do. You start heading towards the control airspace, routing directly to Southend, and it's almost like playing a game of chicken. If you get within a couple nautical miles, you just turn around. But normally what happens is they see you flying straight towards their control airspace, and they'll normally talk to you straight away. They'll either say remain out of control airspace, or do one orbit, something like that, or they'll say at this point free to enter control airspace, routing, whatever, and that's where they could give you a VLP to fly to, or they can say direct to the ATZ, overfly the ATZ at or above 1800 or below 2000, or whatever they give you, you've got to do it. It depends on what he's got on the day, but that's generally speaking what you want to do. But you can see it's warning us now, we're 5 nautical miles away from Southend. Any advice on how to trim a plane? Well, you need to have a control map like this so that you can make small adjustments to the trim. That's what you want to do. One request, the Sky Demon map shifted to the ROG symbol, can't fully see the scenery. If I put it up there, it's just going to make it worse, isn't it? Right, so at this point now, if I don't have permission, I'm going to start orbiting. But I'll assume that they've talked to us and given us permission to fly, to route directly on the overhead. So we're going to fly, because it is actually cool when you fly directly over Southend. It is actually really fun, because you'll get right over the top, and you'll quite often see like EasyJets or Flybe or something coming in, and it is super cool. You get a cracking view of Southend. It's quite a misty day up here, actually. Is it like they would ever decline? They don't ever tell you to buzz off usually, unless there's a real massive issue though, which is very, very unusual. Generally speaking, they're happy to basically route you over. That's just what they do. But they may not be able to do it straight away. They may ask you to wait for a little bit. What's the CTA yellow area? It's telling us about Southend controlled airspace. It's warning us that we're about to smash right through it. But it's okay, because we've got permission. I kind of wish the weather was nicer. I mean, I could just turn the weather off, but... I mean, actually looking out the window today, it's a lot better than this. Sky Demon, Lewis. So it's a really good app if you fly IRL. It's actually, if you're taking a PPL, often now they'll give you a tablet with Sky Demon on it, or let you use one, but honestly I just bought my own, because you can set it up like with your plane that you fly, you customize it, it can log all of your flights against your account, so which is really, really handy. But, you know, if you were going to go flying IRL, you can take your own tablet. Just bear in mind that the GPS on a tablet is, like, these things are not certified for aviation use. They're basically additional information. Like, consider them to be situational awareness. The only things that you're allowed to use technically are these things. But everybody uses stuff like Sky Demon now. No, it's about £90 a year, I think. But I, like, the GPS on a consumer device like an iPad will update about once every second. And is accurate to, like, I don't know, 50 meters or something. I actually use a thing called a Bad Elf GPS, which is just a little thing about that big, and I can just hang it around my neck. My iPad Bluetooths into it. It's accurate to like 5 meters or something, and it updates 10 times a second. So it's super, super accurate. And I use that to get my GPS lock for my tablet. And I generally fly with my phone and my tablet, so if one fails, I've got the other one. Right, we should, in theory, be coming up south. The visibility is horrendous, you know. I am tempted to just turn the weather off. Because it's actually quite nasty today. Anyway, we'll get a good view of Southend. It's more to do with the frequency, Aerospike. When you're travelling at like 100 knots, 50 meters is quite, 50 meters and you're getting an update once a second is not terribly accurate. I am not using Active Sky. Now, normally you would see Southend at this point, no problem at all. You know what? Flight configuration, weather. Manual configuration. Let me get rid of this. Let's go with that. Is that going to update at all? Yeah, that's a bit better. So visibility was the problem. That's better. Yeah, so we should be able to see Southend. Straight ahead of us. Actually, it's a lot more visible in real life than it is right now. And then we're going to take a left turn slightly. There you go. Right, so at this point, when you're flying south, you'll often see planes coming in to land or taking off, lining up and going out that way. You get a cracking view at this point. Let's just go straight on. Yeah, at night the visibility is just amazing. So when you land on Southend in a GA plane, you'll often land 2, 3, I think it is, and then you'll get off at Charlie, and you'll park over here. And they don't really have a nice FBO at all. Norwich has got a good FBO. I wish you could do this in real life. But yeah, that's what Southend looks like. Overhead. No, we're not landing here. And you can't Other is South End Pier as well is another visual. Because if you fly from Earl's Cone, you'll see that South End Pier before you'll see this. And if you fly straight to it, you'll take you right over the overhead. So yeah, you'll normally see all the EasyJets down here. With stuff landing. It's just super cool flying over here. And there is the pier. So now, if you remember, if you look at the tablet, the next thing we have to worry about is the danger area. Those two circles. Actual fact, that there and that there, they're the danger areas right here. You see them? We need to head for this thing. That's the VRP. So it's roughly where that pier points. We've got to stay away from that bit. Hey, Cobalt. No, it's gas venting, Jim. Up to 3,500 feet gas venting. You just don't want to go there. It's not in your interest. Now, at this point, like, I would probably make what's called a FREDA check. So FREDA is FREDA, and it's an abbreviation. So F stands for fuel. And what you would do in a paper off a Warrior, you'd make sure that the fuel pump was off. On this thing, you make sure you're on both. On a Warrior, you would consider whether to change from the left to the right tank because you need to alternate as you're flying. So there are your fuel considerations. Just make sure your fuel pressure's good, but on a Cessna it's all gravity fed anyway. R stands for radio, so you check your radios, make sure the frequencies are set, make sure you can hear people, that kind of thing. E stands for engine. You set your you check your engine temperatures and pressures, vacuum charges, just checking all the instrumentation down here. D stands for DI. So DI is you would check your magnetic compass and make sure that your DI is not drifted, because it does happen with alarming regularity. And then A stands for altimeter, so you're going to check that you're on the right altimeter setting, whatever you was given by, say, Southend, on both of them, and you're reading a sensible altitude. And you kind of want to be doing that every major turn in your waypoints, but certainly about every 20 minutes or so. Thunderfluff, thank you for 30 months. 2KS Delta, thank you for 4. Beatnik with 22, interesting talk on displays. Normally I just concentrate on the primary displays in Sim. Baz, we did Tactical Abyss. Can you make more Mice and Macabre videos? I will at some point. Lobhat, 55 months, thank you. Lantern Mac with 18 months, watching your stream whilst flying a 737 and X-Plane. Thank you very much, sir. Prime 8, welcome back. W Blue with 4. Mr. Ashley Hurst, welcome back. U2 Num, is it? With 40 months. Keep up the great content. My best sub every month. Thank you, dude. DPH with 8 months. Thanks to the amazing content. By the way, I've just built my first PC. Nice. Simon D, 57 months. Wow, you're flying. Kronakian, 28 months. Dead Mounts of 54, and I think that brings me up to date on everybody. Thank you so much for your support, guys. Sorry I couldn't read it when I was chatting away. So yeah, if you look at Sky Demon now, it's basically alerting us that we are not too far away from those nasties over there. See all this here? Oh, man. Hang on. There you go. That lot, we can't fly near that. So this is the thing we were talking about. And this is a VRP. You see it says on the map there, VRP Sheerness. This is a visual reference point. If you was coming in from the south, let's say we were doing this journey backwards, and you have to talk to Southend, they may say to you, fly to Sheerness VRP, and this is what they mean. They'll say route Sheerness VRP. Right, we need to turn on track now. Now there is actually a wind farm around here, but it doesn't look like it's shown. Cool. Now, if you look at the blue lines now, that's the Southend CTA. At this point, you're pretty soon going to exit Southend controlled airspace, so they're going to get less and less interested in you at this point. Normally, what will happen is just as you're about to cross that blue line, they'll say something to you along the lines of, you're now exiting controlled airspace, radar service is terminated, basic service. What that basically means is he's no longer going to give you headings and altitudes to fly. You can carry on your course, and he's giving you a basic service. So you can just talk to him now. But you're not really a problem for him anymore. So this is where Dovetail are around here somewhere, actually. Dovetail Games. In Maidstone. Where's Maidstone? Back up the coast there somewhere. Oops, we're turning slightly. So at this point, because it's like a little bit quiet, it's at this point that you would 7,000 BAS in Europe, not 1200s American. At this point, you would set up your frequencies for LID. You can't talk to them yet; they're a bit far away. But anything that you can do to just get like a little bit ahead is a good thing. So if I have a COM1 and a COM2, I would put COM2 onto LID 80s, and on COM1 I would just have the like approach or tower frequency ready. With them, I think it's just a tower frequency. Thanks, Sniffer. Oh, did they move to Chatham, Nerf? I don't know, bro, actually. You could be right. How should I know it's different between EU and yes, usually fly IFR, Baz? Baz, I can't say to... I really would love to encourage you to fly some VFR, Baz, rather than just magenta lining it everywhere. It's actually a lot of fun. But, fair enough, it's 7,000 in Europe, 1200 in the US. Because reasons. Yeah, so at this point, Southend would have handed us off now because we're just leaving their controlled area, so, yeah. Now, at this point, we need to be aware that we are heading straight for a gliding site, which is over here somewhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a left turn. Just stay clear of it. It's on the northern side of Ashford, though. I'm a hand flying Nerf. I'm not flying a magenta line. What I'm flying is a route that I've plotted. I would fly VFIRL if I could afford it. No, I didn't mean IRL, Baz. I didn't mean IRL. I meant in a sim. OS2 can do. I used to like OS2. It's a good OS. I remember the gliding site. I think, is it that? It's something like that. You can, when you get up to it, you can actually see the tow rope, the launcher rope. The trouble with these gliding sites is they can launch them to like 2,500 feet from the ground, which is pretty scary. Like in seconds. I think Skydium will probably warn us. We're flying down to Lid. The sim I can have for shiny Airbuses and Boeings, which I can't have in real life. Yeah, I get that, Baz. I'm not disputing that. Trouble is, like, all this wonderful scenery, Baz, and you don't see it because you're at like 34,000 feet. How does route planning work with summer flag and news reporter? The division of responsibility, Aerospike. But yeah, I think they'll probably get a traffic service. If they was to go into London, say, they'll get a traffic service. I'm sure they would. What sort of frames? If I drop below 60, you'll see, well, you won't see it like that. There's a little warning indicator that comes up in a second. I'll move that. I don't know. I don't want to cover up any important dials. Let me just put it there for a second. Ouch. There, you see it now? 48. If I drop below 60, I'll get that kind of bar that shows me what I'm getting. Are any of these flight sims still supported by the devs, or are they mostly community support with mods and such? Can do. Flight sim X-Plane is like ongoing. Like really well supported ongoing. In fact, it patched a few weeks ago, I think. And they're currently working to sort of this Project Vulcan, as it's called, has been going on for a while now. Trying to get the best out of the graphics hardware that we have. No, that's it there. See it? That strip there. That is the glider site right there. That's the launcher. And ahead of us should be Ashford. Bravo Alpha Echo, thank you for 54 months, sir. Thank you very much. It does support VR, yeah. So, that is Ashford in Kent. So, at this point, I would have already listened to the 80s. And I would have got the information on Lid. And then I'm going to call up Tower, because they want you to talk to them by the time you've got to Ashford. So at this point, I'll dial up Lid and say to them, you know, Golf Hacker Charlie Alpha Kilo, inbound, request join information, and they'll basically tell me the airfield, like information, like runway, whatever in use, whatever the QNH is, and I'll say overhead Ashford, 2,000 feet and 1019, and they'll normally give me that squawk code to punch in, and they'll say something like report 4 miles from Lid. They'll say something like that. So I'll just say Wilco, and that's what we'll do. So now we're talking to Lid, and we just need to report when we're pretty close to them. And quite often they'll say to them, when you do dial up, they'll say to them, do you want QNH or QFE? Which is like different pressures depending on whether you want to land. But in terms of Lid, because it's right next to the sea, the QNH and QFE are pretty much the same thing, so they don't bother. This is Ashford in Kent. Yeah, well, the other thing about it, Chris, is actually you can reverse that, can't you? because what you can do is you can fly somewhere in a sim that you're going to do in real life. That's the big train station there, I think. That one. Right, new heading. Should be, I think it was 173. I've not decided where we're going to go next, Bob. I'm either thinking we'll go to Shoreham or we'll go to Isle of Wight. I'm not sure. I was going to have a chat with you guys and see what you thought about that. Sam Blackshaw, thank you for 27. Muffins, I would say that having only had my pilot's license IRL, what, 9 months or something, I don't think you could call me a, like, in quotes, good pilot yet. I'm still not that experienced. Like, the goal is to try and be safe and build up your experience, basically. That's what you need to do. Like, the danger is thinking, like, you're good, and the reality is you don't know what you don't know. Yeah, I can do, absolutely. There's lots of places like to fly to, Massive. Lots of places. Right, so at this point you can actually see the coast down there, so Lid's going to be over here somewhere. I've actually no idea what Lid looks like and explain, so it might turn out to be something a bit weird and very hard to see, but we'll see how we get on. But what I'm going to do now is start a cruise descent down to 1500. Remember I said to you that you have to approach at 1500 into Lid? So you fly over the top at 1500, and then you descend immediately down to 1000 before you make your turn onto your downwind leg. Right, now we need to try and get visual with the runway. It's going to be here somewhere. That's the danger area down there. We can't go anywhere near that. VFR means visual flight rules. Effectively, it means you have to fly visually. Right, so at this point we talk to them and say we're like 4 miles north. And then just do whatever they say. They might tell us there's somebody in the circuit or whatever. At this point I'll be doing some landing checks. I'd probably get my landing light on at this point. I checked my brake was off. Mixture's rich. Fuel pump selectors on both. T's and P's are looking good. Don't worry about carb heat. And then we're going to make sure that the doors are locked. Harness secure. and there's no loose articles. And that's warning us about the restricted area now.
Restricted area 5 miles ahead.
Yeah, this is the destination, Lindsay. We're going to land here, in theory. Thank you, dear. That's the danger area, and there's a shooting range over here somewhere. Let's get rid of that. So we'll try and get ourselves over to the magenta line. China hat forward long. Lol. Just going to bring the speed back now.
Danger area 5 miles ahead.
Right, so now I've got a good view of the runway.
Danger area 4.5 miles ahead.
Yes, we know. You've told us 5 times. So what we want to do is pass over this threshold bit at like 1500, and then we want to descend down to 1000 before we make a left turn. Right, we are overhead. So that's the danger area on the right there, but if you notice, we're allowed to just skirt into it a little bit. Yeah, entered restricted airspace. But it's allowed for the pattern here. Okay, there's 1000. It's very flat here. Well, you're right next to the sea, but yeah. Actually, pattern is slightly over the water, I think. Yeah, it's a 1080, but not a Ti in the flight sim rig, I don't think. We go on the beach later. I've never actually had a chance to go down there and see what it's like. Right, so let's try and get the runway in sight. There it is. Looking for about 65 knots now on the trim. Should take us about there-ish. It's a lot easier in real life to see where you are. -30. You can see your house from here, lol. Seems to have quite a strong wind also then.
Restricted area 1.5 miles ahead.
50, 40,
That's
30,
it.
20, retard, retard, retard.
I'll do.
Restricted
Thank you,
area
Captain Flint.
1.5 miles ahead.
Yeah, I lost a bit too much airspeed on the final really, but it's all good. I'm trying to think where the taxiway was.
Restricted area 1 mile ahead.
You'd think when you're on the ground this thing would actually shut up, but apparently not. Yeah, there it is. Charlie taxiways, yeah. This is Lid. Wife's brought me a cup of tea and some cake. Perfect. Remember last time they say vacate at Charlie and park at the Charlie apron, which was here, and then I went over here. That's actually the restaurant bit though. So people, you can actually go to Lid and just sit in the restaurant, have a cup of tea and watch planes come in and go. They've actually got, get this at Lid, they've actually got quite a big runway and it has an ILS system. So you can actually do instrument approaches here, which is just really awesome. So yeah, normally you just kind of pull up over here. Put your parking brake on. And then you go through your like landing checklist. After landing checklist, which say call and vacate, runway, parking brake is on. Trim, put the trim back to take off. Put the flaps up, which I've done. Taxi light come on, landing light come off. Strobe comes off. P2E off. Transponder goes to standby. And then taxi to parking. Not for me, Rambler. I don't like the SciTech controller. A bit plasticky. And then you would just do your closing down checks, parking brake, plots 1200, taxi light comes off, and then normally just do a continuity check on your mags to make sure everything's still good. The avionics would come off, mixture would come out.
The engine seems ideally primed.
And that's how you roll. We're at Lid. So there's actually a door here. and you go in there. There's a desk, pay your parking fees, go through into the restaurant bit if you want, have a cup of tea. You can even have like chips and fish and stuff. Have a break. There's usually some other planes buzzing around. But yeah, if you come in on the other, remember I said to you, so let's just go over what we just did here. We came over the threshold here. Anonymous gift to Nintendo. Thank you, Whiteland. Welcome, Nintendo. Adam Thwaite, thanks for 52. Sam Blackshaw, thanks for 27. So yeah, what we did was we overflew this threshold. Yeah. And maybe this will make more sense now. You see those pink lines on that screen there? So the bottom pink line there, that's here, right? So we flew over this bit at 1500, descend to 1000, and then we made a left turn. And our downwind leg came in around like that. If we was flying the other one, if we was landing on 03, is it? You would, and this is what I did last time I flew here. You fly over this threshold, you then got to descend to 1000 about here by the time you hit the beach. See? And then make a right turn, and this is where it gets interesting, because when you're coming along here, you can't just fly a normal base leg. You've got to get to like this water, you've got to stay inside of it like that and come around. And it's a really interesting glide, that one. What do they mean with dead side? Right, so some airfields have what's known as a live side and a dead side. The live side is where the circuit traffic will be generally. So let's say, and they don't here, but let's say Lid had a live side. Let's say this was the live side here. So anything taking off doing circuits would come around like that. Go-rounds would come around like that. This is what's called the dead side. Anything that comes into land would overfly it, descend on the dead side, and then come to the live side in the pattern. That's what's called a standard overhead join. Not every airfield does it. Tower controlled stuff doesn't necessarily do it. They will have like circuits on both sides. Lid doesn't have a dead side. They just have a specific approach that everybody has to follow. Like there's no option. They never use this side at all. Nintendo Next Live. Thank you for the anonymous gift there. What? Does that make sense? Right, so where do we want to fly to next then? Did you want to go to... There's a couple of options here, I guess. We could go to... Actually, looking at the Orbex airports I do have Shoreham. I've got Popham, Fair Oaks, I'm not sure where they are. Southampton I've got. That's a bit internationally for us, I think. We can either go to... We can go to Shoreham, which is, I think, here. There's Shoreham there. So we can fly from Lid to Shoreham, which is not that far. Or we can carry on and go to the Isle of Wight. Sandown. Depends where you want to go. We're going to be going on the south coast either way. Just a matter of where we stop, really. Ooh. It's a coconut macaroon. Nice. No, I have them all real done. White is spelt with an I, by the way, guys. Isle of Wight. W-I-G-H-T. Well, the problem with Shoreham and then the Isle of Wight, I mean, we can do it. That'll be a fairly short trip. Isle of Wight with a touch and go at Shoreham. I think Shoreham's a nice airfield. Great route. Let's go lid. Shoreham. Right. 33 miles as the crow flies. I need to check the departure procedure at lid for 2-4. Because when I took off, I went out at 0-3, and it's nowhere near as messy as 2-4. Sorry, 2-1. So I need to check that. Let's have a look. So we could go via Hastings, possibly. Actually, there's stuff going on down here. Eastbourne, what's that there? 1600. Model flying scheduled. If you go down there today, they're flying model planes, apparently. But that's at 1600. Captive balloon scheduled. Surface to 3000. Flippin' heck. How big is the map in this game, Pringle? It's as big as Mars. In fact, I've got Mars if you want to go there. We can fly if you want. Take us a while. Welcome, Pickle Dev. What's that? NERC Space Geodesy Facility Laser. Surface to unlimited. What? There's a laser here? Surface to unlimited? You want me? Well, I'd like to fly to Hastings, but I think what we'll do, I know what we'll do. Here's what we're going to do. We'll have to take off. We'll have to go via Rye, where the little estuary is, in order to avoid that danger area. And then we'll turn. And we'll go straight for Hastings. Right? So we've got to Hastings, but then we're going to stay on the south side of Hastings. So we'll come all the way out here somewhere. We'll stay well clear of all that. So we'll have Eastbourne on our wing. We'll stay over the water. It's fine. Jeff, how you doing, buddy? Not long now, Jeff. Scary, huh? It's fine being over the water because at 2,000 feet, if we have an engine failure, we can easily glide. Easily glide down there. And we'll basically route Shoreham. We'll just fly along the coast there. And we'll route into Shoreham that way. That's a 37-minute flight. Your journey finishes inside Shoreham. That's fine. Dude, I can't believe how quick it's come around, Jeff. It's shocking. I mean, Jeff, I fly to Orlando a week on Monday. That's like 9 days away and we're not even packed. Looking forward to Orlando. You're not kidding, Chris. Yeah, so the usual thing, you check your weather, check your NOTAMs, go through all that stuff. Then we'll have a look at the airfield. I know, Jeff, how like, that is so annoying that they just did a SpaceX launch, which means I'm not going to see one. It's actually bummed out about that. Right, so on here, can you read that, by the way, or does it need to be bigger again? Guess we'll make it bigger. Take off on 2-1. Right to the bottom there. Climb straight ahead to at least 500 feet, or passing the upwind end of the runway, whichever is later, before turning left or right. Aircraft turning left or remain at least 1.5 meters of Dungaree's power station. All departures will carry out power checks at holds Bravo and Charlie. Taxiway Alpha and Delta are available. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, so actually not as bad as I thought it would be. Okay. Let's go and have a look at Shoreham. Now, if you look at Shoreham, I assume we'll be on 2-4, I'd imagine. Falcon Heavy is due on June 22nd. Jeff, can you pull some strings, man? Can you like get him to pull that forward a little bit? Because that's too late for me. Like I need that to be about a week earlier, Jeff. You just got your Rift S. Is that the one that doesn't need the sensors? You know, the little upright sensors? Because I've got the one that needs the sensors, but I know they've got a new one out where you don't need that. Sky Demon. Double the resolution, blimey. You'd have to let me know what it's like. Yeah, I may upgrade, Jeff. I may upgrade, mate. Let me know what it's like, and be interested to hear your thoughts on that. Or maybe I can pop round, Jeff, when I'm in Orlando and have a go. Oh no, Jeff, I'm subbed on Pilot Edge. When I get back from Orlando, I'll be smashing it up. So we definitely should go and fly on Pilot Edge, without a doubt. Without a doubt, we should do that. I'll be at the Pilot Edge stand, Jeff. Yeah, on Orlando. Hanging out there. Right, let's see what they say about approaches and stuff. Unless otherwise instructed by ATC, aircraft during the circuit will overfly the aerodrome, maintaining 2,000 feet above aerodrome level, until instructed to descend to circuit height on the dead side of the runway in use. Right, so they have a dead side. Your booth has become a YouTube meet and greet, so it's free to use. You're going to have a lounger as well. What, you got a booth, Jeff? You actually paid for a booth? That's amazing. What are you going to do at the booth then? Have you got your laptop there or something? Like, what's your plan? I'll definitely pop round. I'm not on a network, Jimbo, no. Because, like, I can't... Like, VATSIM don't really do VFR, I don't think. Ah. The bot got you there, Jeff. Explain.org. You're bringing your rig. Oh, Explain.org bought it and you're bringing your rig. Gotcha. I've used IFAAO a few years ago, Jim. I don't know where it's at now. Do they actually do VFR stuff? That would be cool. Yeah, Jeff, I've literally always said the same thing. I'll do VATSIM when they get new codec. I know they've got it. Why they haven't rolled it out, I don't understand. I'll tell you what, Jeff. You take me around the States, and I'll take you around Europe. How does that sound? Right, descending dead side of the circuit, join the circuit by crossing the upwind. Pilot should know that helicopters operate live side and dead side. Nice. Variable circuits, fixed wind at 1,100 foot. Interesting, 1,100. Yeah, Matty, the VATSIM codec has been in beta for like 9 months or something stupid. A week on Monday I'll fly, Mr. Whip. Next weekend is the last weekend of streaming for a bit. Fed up with the constant stream from VATSIM about the codec, the reason they moved to IVO. What's the controller like coverage light though, Jimbo. Right, so basically descend on dead side, overfly the ATZ, descend on the dead side, whichever one they ATC tell you it is, and then 1100 foot, and then fly the circuit. Noise abatement procedures. Departing aircraft continue on runway heading until above 600 feet before turning on course. Okay. Helicopter operations. Bunch of other stuff. Okay, turbulence and bits and pieces. So I think what we'll do, because we've got no ATC, I think we'll go straight in on 2-4. But we'll have to do the dead side thing. So it depends if they're doing a left or right circuit. Who knows? We're going to Shoreham next. I think we'll overfly here and do a left. We'll do a left circuit. Is what we'll assume. Left circuit 1100. And then we shall vacate. Probably vacate at Mike though. And then backtrack up and find somewhere to pull up and plan our next journey. Sounds good. Right then. That's our plug. So 265 to Rye. 241 to Hastings. 238. And then 289 to Shoreham. Alright. Total flight time 36 minutes, but it'll be a bit longer. Flight Simone have Scottish Control Gatwick approach. People who fly both. People who could fly with you if you went on IVO. Yes and no, Jimbo. If I went online onto IVO now, first I've had to reactivate my account. Secondly, if a controller suddenly came online, I would be expected to talk to them. And I don't know how they deal with VFR traffic. I have no idea. Alright, I think we've got everything we need. Let's go flying. Use X-plane. Boom. So what we're going to do is taxi down taxiway Alpha. Turn around. Take off. 500 feet. Make a right turn onto heading to, what was it, Rye. So we're going to go around that little danger area. You wish you could actually transmit ATC legally in the UK. Just so, if you go on YouTube, every man and his dog is recording ATC in the UK and putting it on YouTube. Everybody's doing it. And the CAA knows about it, and the CAA does nothing about it. The law is there, but they don't enforce it. They'd have to take down so many videos, and it's not in their interest to do so. So, don't worry about it. Go on John FS. That's what he uses for group VFR. How secure is John FS? Does it expose your IP address?
Happy anniversary, Nutter.
New AR feature. What does that mean? Right, let's shrink that down. Oh, augmented reality on. Oh, I see on Flight Radar. No, but it's. I've got it. Like I can download my flight from my Bad Elf GPS, punch it into Google Earth, and fly through it. There are apps online that you can load it into and get a detailed flight profile, like how you were against the ideal profile and stuff like that. But I can't be bothered with it. Oh, I see what you mean, Jimbo. Yeah, yeah. Point your phone at it and it tells you what it is, can't you? Which runway are you landing on at Shoreham if you're going to use left base over the hillside 02? I was going to land on 24. Let's see. Anonymous gift to Nintendo Next Live. Then Venrith subbed. Venrith, welcome to the Net House. Thank you for the nutty welcome, guys. James Ibel, thanks for 51 months. Am I landing on the grass then? I don't know, Master Joe. Let's have a look. Aerial photography at Shoreham. Ah, it's a 2-4's a grass runway. Sorry, 2-5. Actually, it's 2-4 now. It's been renumbered. Yeah, we're going to run on 2-4 grass then. Yeah, we'll do that. Why not? I take it we're okay to just do the dead side on the north of it. Right, parking brake is on. Master's on. Do I fly mouse and keyboard? No. I'm thinking it shouldn't need priming, to be honest. Should still be warm. It's runway 20 Shoreham. Check the webcam on the website. Oh, you mean right now, Jetstar? What, they're using 20? Let's have a look. Well, this one? This 600 meter runway, is that grass? They're actually using that right now. The active is 20. Wow. Alright, let's do 20. That's going to be hilarious. 600 meters. That's not very long at all, you know. So what is their dead side right now? Is it to the west? 20 hard isn't used, 20 grass is not. Oh, okay. Alright, we'll use 20. We'll go in 20 hard then. They all do that, Mr. HD, because what happens is the artificial horizon requires the vacuum to work. So until the suction is generated by the engine, you don't get the vacuum. Therefore, it just kind of does this until the suction's gone, and then it levels out. The dead side is 02 on the paved runway because 20 is facing the sea. I don't understand what that means. Oh, I know what you mean. Wait, so if you're coming in from the east and they require you to fly overhead, you see, if you're coming in on 20 from the east, I would have thought that they would vect you into a base leg. I would have thought. I wouldn't have thought they'd have you overflying. Which is the live side right now, then? Are they on a right-hand circuit, then? It's runway 20 with a left hand with a standard overhead join. Right, okay. So the dead side is to the west. Okay, so if I come in on 20, on the north side of 20, send down to 1100, come back and join the pattern, that should do it. We'll do that. We'll do that. That'll work. You're heading off, Lindsay. Have a good one. We'll skip all the checks this time. You've seen them all. It's local pressure. One 1018. Okay. Which is about right, because like lid is almost in the water. Yep, that's what I'm going to do, Jetstar. I got mine from Earl's Cone, Jimbo. You can't skip the checks, it's part of flying. No. Right, so DI is on 120. We'll set that. Avionics, let's see. Won't bother with that. 7,000 on standby. It's all done, that's good, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Alright, taxi lights coming on.